We're going to finish the book today, The 100 Dresses by Eleanor Estes. And as we read the last chapter, I want you to think back at the beginning because I talked to you about it being a bittersweet ending. The girls have written to Wanda, and today they'll hear back from her. And Maddie in particular is troubled by some things that she left unsaid or unwritten. So this chapter is called The Letter to Room 13. And here are the two girls, Maddie and Peggy, and it looks like they're writing right there. On Saturday morning, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wanda Petronsky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wanda she had won. They told her how pretty her drawings were and now how they were studying about Winfield Scott in school. And they asked her if she liked where she was living now and if she liked her new teacher. They had meant to say they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter, the kind they would have written to any good friend, and they signed it with lots of X's for love. They mailed the letter to Boggins Heights, writing, "Please forward" on the envelope. The teacher had not known where Wanda had moved to, so their only hope was that the post office knew. The minute they dropped the letter in the mailbox, they both felt happier and more carefree. Days passed and there was no answer. But the letter did not come back, so maybe Wanda had received it. Perhaps she was so hurt and angry she was not going to answer. You couldn't blame her. And Maddie remembered the way she hitched her left shoulder up as she walked off to school alone, and how the girls always said, "Why does her dress always hang funny like that? And why does she wear those queer high laced shoes?" They knew she didn't have any mother, but they hadn't thought about it. They hadn't thought that she had to do her own washing and ironing. She only had one dress, and she must have had to wash it and iron it overnight. Maybe sometimes it wasn't dry when it was time to put on in the morning, but it was always clean. Several weeks went by, and still Wanda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Wanda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with, "How many dresses do you have?" Before Wanda could press her lips together in a tight line the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop! This girl is just a girl, just like you are." And then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. Sometimes she rescued Wanda from a sinking ship or the hooves of a runaway horse. "Oh, that's all right," she'd say when Wanda thanked her with dull, pained eyes. And here's the picture of the runaway horse. And of course, this took place at a time when either there might have been cars, but more often you would have seen a horse and buggy. And occasionally a horse would get frightened and would take off running away and be out of control. And a horse could run into people. It could stop. It could actually kill somebody. And then here's a picture of the girls looking and waiting for a letter from the mailman each day. Now on this page we see a picture of a Santa Claus. This boy is drawing on the blackboard, and that would have been a decoration for a party. And today we wouldn't celebrate Christmas in our classrooms because that's a Christian holiday, and we know we have people from many different religions. And but back then it was just assumed everybody was Christian, and if you weren't, you just kind of accepted that was celebrated in the room. Now it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground. Christmas bells and a small tree decorated the classroom, and on one narrow blackboard, Jack Beggles had drawn a jolly fat Santa Claus in red and white chalk. On the last day of school before the holidays, the children in Peggy's and Maddie's class had a Christmas party. The teacher's desk was rolled back and a piano rolled in. First, the children had acted the story of Tiny Tim, and then they had sung songs, and Cecile had done some dances in different costumes. The dance called the Passing of Autumn, in which she whirled and spun like a golden red autumn leaf, was the favorite. After the party, the teacher said she had a surprise, and she showed the class a letter she had received that morning. "Guess who this is from?" she said. "You remember Wanda Petronsky, the bright little artist who won the drawing contest? Well, she has written me, and I am glad to know where she lives because now I can send her medal, and I hope it gets there for Christmas. I want to read her letter to you." The class sat up with sudden interest and listened intently to Miss Mason as she read the letter. And here they are looking at Cecile dance her dance, the autumn leaves dance, and there's the Christmas tree, and they're sitting in their desks. "Dear Miss Mason, How are you in room 13? Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses, because in my new house I have 100 new ones all lined up in my closet. I'd like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimmings, and her friend Maddie to have the blue one. For Christmas, I missed that school, and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Yours truly, Wanda Petronsky. And at the bottom of her letter. The teacher passed the letter around the room for everybody to see. It was pretty, decorated with a picture of a Christmas tree lighted up in the night in a park surrounded by high buildings. On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. They had stayed late to help straighten up after the play, and it was getting dark. The houses looked warm and inviting with wreaths and holly and lighted trees in their windows. Outside the grocery store, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked, and in the window, peppermint canes and cornucopias of shiny, bright, transparent paper were strung. The air smelled like Christmas, and bright lights everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. The colors are like the colors in Wanda's 100 dresses, said Maddie. And so here they are. Yes, said Maddie, holding her drawing out to look at it under the street lamp. And boy, this shows she really liked us. It shows she got her letter, and this is her way of saying that everything's all right. And that's that, she said with finality. Peggy felt happy and relieved. It was Christmas, and everything was fine. I hope so, said Maddie sadly. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped Polish girl again, and couldn't ever make things right between them. She went home and she pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink-flowered wallpaper in the bedroom. The shabby room came alive with the brilliancy of the colors. Maddie sat down on the edge of her bed and looked at the drawing. She had stood by and said nothing, but Wanda had been nice to her anyway. Tears blurred her eyes, and she gazed for a long time at the picture. And Maddie's house isn't very nice either. She's not as poor as Wanda, but she has torn wallpaper and a fairly simple life. Remember, she has to wear the hand-me-downs. Then hastily she rubbed her eyes and studied it intently. The colors in the dress were so vivid she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing. But it looked like her, Maddie, it really did. The same short blonde hair, blue eyes, and wide straight mouth. Why, it really looked like her own self. Wanda had really drawn this for her. Wanda had drawn her. In excitement, she ran over to Peggy's. Peg, she said, let me see your picture. What's the matter? Asked Peggy as they clattered up the stairs to her room, where Wanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. And here they are. Maddie carefully lifted it up. Look, she drew you. That's you, she exclaimed. And the head of the face in this picture did look like the auburn-haired Peggy. What did I say? Said Peggy. She must really have liked us anyway. Yes, she must have, agreed Maddie. And she blinked away the tears that came every night she thought of Wanda standing alone in that sunny spot in the schoolyard, close to the wall, looking stolidly over at the group of laughing girls after she had walked off, after she had said, sure, 100 of them, all lined up.